You get the mail. You see that envelope. You know what it is. Your hands hesitate for a second before you open it. And then you see it. A number so high it feels like a typo. A punch to the gut. Your monthly energy bill. Have you ever stared at that bill and just asked, why? Why is it so high? Where is all this money actually going? If you feel like you're being squeezed, you're not wrong. But the reason why is more complex, and frankly, more shocking than you can imagine. It's not just about inflation. This is a story about multi-billion-dollar bets, political shockwaves, and a hidden crisis of trust with the companies you are forced to do business with. Today, we're pulling back the curtain. We're going to Nevada, where the state's largest utility, NV Energy, is at the center of a perfect storm that serves as a terrifying preview for the rest of the country. What's happening there is the blueprint for America's new energy crisis. Stick with me until the end of this video because you need to understand how this system works and, more importantly, how it's costing you a fortune. And if you're tired of being kept in the dark about your own money, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what we uncover next. Let's start with the most direct hit to your wallet, the rate hike. In early 2025, NV Energy, which is owned by Warren Buffett's powerhouse firm Berkshire Hathaway, filed a request with state regulators. They asked for a revenue increase of over $215 million. For the average family in southern Nevada, that's an extra $15 a month, every month. Now, utilities will tell you this is necessary. They'll point to things like grid reliability and preparing for extreme weather. And that sounds reasonable, right? No one wants a power outage. The economic impact of power outages is massive, costing the U.S. economy $150 billion every year. For a single business, just 1 hour of downtime can cost over $150,000. So they frame it as a reliability premium. Pay us more now or risk a catastrophic failure later. But here's where it gets interesting. Buried in that rate case filing, NV Energy also asked to increase its return on equity. That's the profit it's legally allowed to make for its shareholders, from 9.5% to 10.25%. So at the same time they're telling you that you need to pay more for essential services, they're also telling their investors they want to make more profit from your payments. This is the fundamental conflict at the heart of your rising energy bill. The balance between providing a public service and maximizing corporate profit. But it gets much, much bigger than that. The next layer of this crisis is what I call the green gridlock. We all want cleaner energy, but the transition to renewables is creating a financial nightmare. It starts with something called the interconnection queue. Think of it as a waiting list for new power plants, mostly solar and wind, to get permission to connect to the grid. Right now, NV Energy's queue is jammed with projects that are essentially zombies. They're not dead, but they're not moving forward either. Why? Because shifts in federal policy have made them financially impossible overnight. This isn't just a Nevada problem. Grid operators across the country are facing the same logjam, which means cheaper, cleaner power is stuck in bureaucratic limbo, and you're left paying for the older, more expensive stuff. But let's look at a real-world example of the costs. NV Energy's GreenLink project. It's a massive transmission line designed to move renewable energy across Nevada. A critical project. When it was announced, the price tag was about $2.5 billion. Today, that cost has exploded to over $4.2 billion, a 70% increase. The utility blames inflation, supply chain issues, and even environmental rules designed to protect the desert tortoise, which added $124 million to the cost. But here's the bait and switch. Initially, lawmakers and the utility promised that ratepayers, that's you, wouldn't have to start paying for this project for years, not until it was actually working. Well, with a nearly $2 billion cost overrun, that promise is out the window. NV Energy is now asking regulators to let them charge customers for the project during construction. This move shifts the massive financial risk of this project from one of the world's largest corporations, Berkshire Hathaway, directly onto the shoulders of its customers. Consumer watchdogs are calling it what it is, a bait-and-switch scheme. You are being asked to finance a multi-billion-dollar project absorb all the risk, and get none of the financial return. This is a lot to take in, I know, and it's infuriating. Has your energy bill gone up in the last year? Let me know in the comments below. Sharing your story helps all of us see the bigger picture, and if you're getting value from this breakdown, please hit that like button. It tells the YouTube algorithm that this is a conversation more people need to be a part of. So we have rate hikes and massive cost overruns. But the third force driving up your energy bill comes from Washington, D.C. On July 4th, 2025, a new law was signed, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. This law did one thing very effectively. It dismantled most of the clean energy incentives from the Inflation Reduction Act. It was a policy shockwave. The financial roadmap for thousands of renewable energy projects vanished. An estimated $522 billion in planned clean energy investments are now at risk of being canceled. In Nevada alone, over $15 billion in private investment and 21,000 jobs are now in jeopardy. Nationally, we're looking at a potential loss of 760,000 jobs in the clean energy sector by 2030. But here is the ultimate irony. This bill, sold as a cost-cutting measure, is projected to make your energy bill higher. By killing incentives for solar and wind, which are now the cheapest forms of new electricity, it forces us to rely more on volatile and expensive fossil fuels. Projections show the average American's annual energy costs will rise by about $280 over the next decade because of this law. So, to recap, political decisions in Washington are vaporizing investments, killing jobs, and making your electricity more expensive. This brings us to the final and perhaps most disturbing piece of the puzzle, a complete breakdown of trust. While all of this is happening, what is NV Energy itself doing? In May 2025, state regulators uncovered that between 2017 and 2024, NV Energy had overcharged about 60,000 of its customers by more than $17 million. They were systematically misclassifying people's homes and charging them a higher rate. Some advocates say the problem goes back over 2 decades and affects 80,000 customers. But it gets worse. The utility's first response wasn't to pay everyone back in full. They offered partial refunds, citing a regulatory rule. It was only after regulators stepped in and told them they were using the wrong rule that the company changed its tune. And here's the most devastating part. During that same period, the utility disconnected the power for nearly 3,200 of the customers who had been overbilled. Think about that. The company's own billing error may have directly led to thousands of families losing their electricity because they couldn't pay a bill that was wrongfully inflated. As if that wasn't enough, the state's consumer advocate recently reviewed NV Energy's expenses. They are recommending that regulators block over $16 million in imprudent charges the utility is trying to pass on to you. What's on that list? Luxury hotel stays for executives costing over $2,400 for a single night, over $6,000 for limo services, and a portion of a nearly $1.3 million Berkshire Hathaway executive conference in Las Vegas. So while they ask you for a rate hike to ensure reliability, they are also asking you to pay for limousines and luxury hotels. It's a crisis of trust that leaves you wondering, who are they really serving? So, what does this all mean for you, no matter where you live? The story of NV Energy is a warning. Our nation is at an energy crossroads. The demand for electricity is exploding, thanks to things like data centers and AI. A single data center can use as much power as a small city. Regions that can provide cheap, reliable power will become magnets for jobs and investment. Those that can't, those stuck in green gridlock with high costs and policy chaos, will be left behind. This is the great energy sort. Your economic future and your state's future could be determined by how well it navigates this transition. The failure to build a modern grid isn't just about your energy bill. It's about national security. It's about whether we can build domestic supply chains for things like EV batteries or seed that ground to global competitors. We are facing a choice. One path is a future of high-cost, low-certainty energy that burdens families and makes American businesses less competitive. The other path involves smart reforms, like creating larger, more integrated regional grids, which one study found could save Nevada alone $32 million a year and create thousands of jobs. The system feels broken, but understanding the game is the first step to changing the rules. The fight over the future of energy is the defining financial battle of the next decade, and it's being fought on your monthly utility bill. What are the solutions? We'll be diving deep into that in a future video, so make sure you are subscribed with the notifications turned on. Thank you for watching. Stay informed and stay engaged.